Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Ellen Vandenbrink. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist. And tonight I'm very excited to talk about our talk on hormones. And we're going to really dive deep into a lot of information because it's a topic that affects all of us, men and women. But a lot of, especially with women, when our hormones are off, everything's off. And myself, as you know, I got started because my younger son had a lot of respiratory issues and he did so well on the products, but myself, I was suffering from the headaches and the hormonal issues and the PMS, and I didn't understand exactly how nutrition played such a role with it. So tonight we're going to talk about all those fun things: PMS, headache, cramps, bloating, acne, all those things that cause us so much grief. So I'm going to first talk about two glandular systems, the thyroid and the adrenals, because both of them play such a role in our bodies. So what does the thyroid do? Well, it produces two hormones called T4, thyroxine, and T3, theranine. And it also produces calcitonin, which regulates calcium and bone health. And a lot of people don't realize the role that the thyroid plays with the bones. And it affects every cell in our body. So when the thyroid doesn't work properly, you probably have heard of some of these terms before, like hyperthyroidism. That's when the thyroid overacts, and that's 1 to 2% of people, and that causes things like Graves' disease or autoimmune thyroid. And then there's hypothyroid, which is when the thyroid is slow, and that's or low, and that causes things like Hashimoto's. So is it a common health problem? Well, 23% of the population, mostly women, are affected, but there's up to 20 to 30% of people who are undiagnosed or classified as subclinical hypothyroid. And when your doctor takes your blood test, they'll test for the thyroid hormone. And a lot of times, unless you're into thyroid disease, they don't say anything, but it's a good idea to kind of watch and see if your numbers are moving around, because that's a good indicator that you need to do something. So what's some of the common signs of hypothyroid, which is low thyroid? Tiredness, constipation, loss of interest. I'm not going to read them all, but because there's so many. But what's an interesting one is a lot of people will lose the 1/3 of their eyebrow they'll lose the hair in there. Some people get a regular heartbeat. Some people get hot flashes, heavy menstrual cycle. It can cause so many problems in the body. And there's a definite thyroid-ovary connection. And I know when I presented this last time, one of my clients had been diagnosed with PCOS, and it turned out that it was actually thyroid that was causing the cystic ovaries, because elevated TSH can cause prolactin, which causes those cysts. So it is really important to get the hypothyroid ruled out before you just get started treated for PCOS, so polycystic ovarian syndrome, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. And there's T3 receptors on the ovaries. So what are some of these things that disrupt our hormones and cause problems with not only our thyroid, but all of our glands? Well, a lot of the environmental hormones. So, things in pesticides and herbicides and fungicides, all of those disrupt our hormones. So this is why eating organic is so important. Dark hair dyes. So the darker the hair dye, the more of the toxin, people with black hair. Solvents and adhesives in nail polish, paint remover, glues, cleaning chemicals, and these things are around us everywhere. Parabens in cosmetics, dry cleaning chemicals and fabric softeners. I know when I walk my dog, you can smell those people with that, having that stuff in the dryer. It's so toxic, right? All plastics, especially the BPA, never microwave or heat anything in plastic, or put plastic bottles, let them freeze them or heat them. It's so bad. Farm fish, of course, is bad. The birth control pill, hormone replacement therapy, and commercial meat and dairy are full of those toxins. Some hormone disrupting food. If your coffee is not organic, it contains, it's one of the highest pesticide things. So you definitely want to make sure that it's organic. Alcohol, of course, as I mentioned, commercial dairy products, commercial meat and chicken, farm fish, and of course our pesticides, fruits and vegetables. All these things disrupt us. there's a lot of talk now about estrogen and with soy. And a lot of people say to me, oh no, I can't take soy because it's a phytoestrogen. But if you look at the chemical of what it is, you can see a phytoestrogen is not look at all like a human estrogen. They're totally different chemicals, and they react totally different in the body. And if you look at some of the studies, this was research from Dr. William Lee. He shared this with us, that soy intake in 5,042 breast cancer survivors in Shanghai reduced risk of death by 29% and reduced reoccurrence of breast cancer by 32%. So that's a huge benefit from taking soy. And MD Anderson has even made an about face, and they say in the past, physicians warned breast cancer patients not to eat soy, but the new research represents a complete turnaround. So again, it's everywhere now that this research is starting to come out. And also soy food intake and breast cancer survival. They're showing, this was the Journal of the American Medical Association, showed women with breast cancer who eat more soy are less likely to die or have a reoccurrence of cancer than women who eat fewer servings of soy. So again, it's a very safe product. In Stanford University, same thing. Soy is an excellent source of protein, fiber, B vitamins, iron, calcium, and isoflavonoids, which help bind the estrogen. So what that means is on our cell receptors, if you take in the bad estrogen, it goes in and damages the cell. But what a phytoestrogen does is it protects the cell. It gets in that cell receptor, preventing the bad estrogen from going in. And when you look at a soybean, the thing key is it's got to be non-GMO, not genetically modified. Because if you look at what they make a genetically modified soybean from, they use a gene from a mouse, microbes, and plants. So that is not a natural soybean. Today's most common genetically modified foods, of course, are corn, tomatoes, papaya, cantaloupe, cotton, sugar beets, and now salmon. Unfortunately, they're starting to genetically modify as well. So one thing that really impressed me with Neolife was, I remember Dr. First, way back in the early 90s, when this information started coming out, he made sure that every plant or animal that they source their ingredients from are identity preserved. So they know right from the seed stock that there's no genetically modified organisms in any of the products, and they test for transgenic DNA to make sure that that's the case. And let's talk a little bit about vitamin D. You're hearing that a lot about immunity these days, but it's also found in autoimmune thyroid and thyroid cancer. And I know I'm hearing so many people who are getting thyroid cancer. It is one of the more treatable cancers, but still, if we can avoid it, that's definitely what we want to do. So vitamin D modulates the immune system. And the nice thing is Neolife now has their amazing plant source from mushrooms and lichen. It's a vegan form of vitamin D. Most of the vitamin Ds out there are sourced from lanolin, which is sheep wool. And so this is, the Neolife vitamin D is absorbed better in the body, naturally sourced. And we're having great results from people getting their blood tested. Like even myself, my vitamin D level went way up once I started taking this product. So let's talk a little bit about goiters. Goiters, you've probably seen people, you have the picture there, you've got like that ring around your neck. So they develop when the thyroid gland doesn't make enough hormone. So it tries to make up for the shortage by swelling up or growing larger. And certain areas of the world have endemic goiters because there's not enough iodine in their diet, and that causes the thyroid to grow. Especially a lot of the, like that's why they added the iodine to the salt. Some goiters are caused by medications. Lithium is a drug they give to bipolar disease. It's also in tobacco, lithium. It can be hereditary. It's more common in females and people over the age of 40. And it's actually an autoimmune disease where the immune system attacks the thyroid and makes it grow. So this is where vitamin D would play a role. And nodular growths called nodules in the thyroid gland, causing it to grow larger. And I've had so many people tell me that their doctors are telling them they have these nodules on their thyroid. So this was a testimonial that was in the Neo Life Healthy Living Facebook group. This girl was 25 years old, and had no energy, and it was the eldest daughter, Flavia, from Michelle Covell. And anyway, she had Hashimoto's for 5 years ago. She was diagnosed. The doctor said she had a 5% chance of not being on medication for the rest of her life. She started the medication, but she also changed her diet and started Neo-Life supplements. 6 months later, she was medication free. And to this day, she's still doing great with her thyroid. So it definitely can show a role. And we'll talk a little bit about what supplements key in on that. And this is another girl, Linda from Athens, Georgia, who was introduced to Neo-Life. And she'd suffered from really bad digestive issues, as well as tremendous side effects from Hashimoto's. Remember, that's low thyroid. So she started on 2 Pro Vitality packs and quickly added the protein. And, she also did the detox and acidophilus and a few other things. And after the past 6 months on all of the above, she's recently received results saying that she's showing no signs of the Hashimoto's. So that's very encouraging to think you can, again, these products don't treat, diagnose, or cure any disease, but it's amazing what the body can do when it has the right nutrients. So let's talk a little bit about thyroid, iron, and it's also known as ferritin. Those are what they test you in your blood tests. Well, low iron decreases those thyroid hormones, T3 and T4, and it also impairs the conversion of T4 to the more potent T3, because the body does that in a special process. So I found that when I have a lot of my clients and I ask them to get their blood work done, they'll say, oh, the doctor says everything's fine. But when you actually look at their iron levels, you can see each time it's going down, because again, they have such a big window for iron that until you're in like anemic, they don't tell you that there's a problem. So it's a good idea to keep an eye on this. And low iron goes hand in hand with low ferritin, because low thyroid causes low hydrochloric acid in the stomach. And if you're on things like antacids or have low hydrochloric acid, you can't absorb iron because iron's a mineral, right? Low thyroid causes low body temperature. A lot of times people feel really cold hands, cold feet, because it's causing you to make less red blood cells, and that's where the iron's carried. And low thyroid too, it can also cause very heavy periods, and then which makes you even more anemic. So it's kind of a vicious circle. So what are the symptoms of low iron? Tiredness, peeling fingernails, heart palpitations, dark under eye circles. That's a very common one. Hair loss. I won't read them all, but like I mentioned, heavy periods, low thyroid. So the average Canadian only gets about 8 milligrams of iron a day, and they need closer to 20 to keep an eye through diet and supplementation. So let's talk a little bit about those stress glands, our adrenal glands. They're the ones that produce those stress hormones, which we know is cortisol for stress adaptation. They also aid the kidney in controlling water balance. So they actually sit right on top of the kidneys. They provide hormones as the ovaries decrease production. And what that means is when you start going through menopause, your adrenals are supposed to produce substitutionary estrogen. And if they're not functioning properly, you can't do that. So you get wicked menopausal symptoms. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. They also produce progesterone and estrogen precursor hormones and testosterone, which balances the effects of cortisol. Because again, what happens when you have too much cortisol? Not only do you feel shaky, irritable, you get the belly fat, all sorts of stuff. And in males, the adrenals are the exclusive source of estrogen, because men do need some estrogen too. And what do exhausted adrenals promote? Of course, low thyroid. So again, all the glands are connected. If one's out, they're all out. So exhausted adrenals equal imbalanced hormones. And what's some of the symptoms of adrenal fatigue? Well, you fall asleep great, but you wake up in the middle of the night and you cannot get to sleep. Your mind is just racing. Again, low thyroid, fatigue, exhaustion, chronic fatigue, hypoglycemia. You can't tolerate alcohol well. Some people get back pain, achy muscles, weak legs, lower high blood pressure. I know low and high blood pressure are very linked to the glands. Even, anxiety, insomnia, all sorts of recurrent infections, digestive problems, so many things are connected to adrenal fatigue. So actually that was your issue, wasn't it, Nada? You were suffering from adrenal fatigue. Do you want to share with us?
Yeah, and I didn't realize that until after I was, introduced to Neolife, and I heard a presentation. They talked about these lipids and that we're going to be talking about, and protein and B vitamins. And some of you know that I was working as a police officer in the city, and I always struggled with PMS and had challenges as a teenager. But then when I started working shift work, oh my gosh, it really got bad. I was tired all the time, woke up tired, went to bed tired. I would walk into work after sleeping all night. And the first thing the guys would say to me at work, "Oh, are you okay, Nada?" And I'd say, "No, just leave me alone. Just give me some coffee." And no matter what I did, I was exhausted all the time. Now I have to say that I was exercising, eating healthy. And when you're in your 20s, you just push through. And I think I was just going on adrenaline. But when I looked at Neolife and started taking some of these nutrients that we're going to talk about tonight, what a difference in my menstrual cycle, my moods. I was sleeping better. And, the fatigue didn't go away completely because I was still working shift work, which causes, a real imbalance on our adrenals, but I was able to bounce back better. And because I was sleeping better, I found that I was dealing with it better. So it really played a huge role in how I felt at work, how I performed at my job, and also in my home. So the hormone recipe is what we're going to be focusing on tonight: the lipids and sterols, the vitamins, the trace elements and minerals, omega-3 fatty acids, and protein. We used to say it's like baking a cake, right? When you bake a cake, if you're missing the flour, or you're missing the egg, you're missing the key nutrients that will complete that baking of cake. So even with our hormones, if you're missing some of these essential nutrients, the hormones are not getting the nutritional support that you need to function properly and to age gracefully. And that's what we're focusing on, right, is aging gracefully. So for adrenal support, we're going to talk about our Pro Vitality. We're going to talk about the grain oils. Vitamin C also helps the adrenals. Our protein shake, Neolife shake, protein in general. They really help with being like neurotransmitters, so the communicators in our cells, which is really important. Super B, I tell you, when I added Super B to my program, I couldn't believe it. I felt like the stress was just gone. The stress was still there, but again, I could manage the stress better. And then again, some of the other things that we can do is de-stress meditation, breathing exercises. And this is something that I knew that exercise played a role, and it really helped me. It's something that I've always done. But it wasn't until I started doing more slower workouts like yoga, stretching, and breathing. And it's funny because sometimes you don't realize that you're not breathing. Okay. So sometimes when you're doing a class and the instructor says breathe, you think, oh gosh, yeah, I'm not really breathing. So this plays a really, really big role as well. Okay. But what I want to talk about is how Neolife started back in 1958 and the research on Formula 4 and TRE-EN-EN grain concentrates. It's a story that has transpired over 4 decades. This is when this article was published. It's now over 6 decades, which is kind of cool. And it was developed around hospital studies performed in the 1940s, and it's still being sold by Neolife today. This is the first product that I started taking 30 years ago that made a huge impact in my hormones and my energy. Those grain oils played such a big role. And we are going to be talking a little more detail on those grain oils. But what's really important, this is what I want you to understand, is how do these grain oils play a role with our hormones? Well, they did a study, and one of the studies they did was on the adrenal activity, and the increase in the activity was 175% in 1987. So incredible results. Okay, so this is so key, so important. And you're going to hear some testimonials from people that were really not well. And this is one of the key nutrients that help them get better. So it's not a cure, right? Mary Ellen said, we don't cure anything, but when you give the cells the proper nutrients that they need, it's amazing how the cells can regenerate and rebuild, which also helps with our hormones as well. So really important, but we have to look at our diet. Okay, I know, Mary Ellen, being a holistic nutritionist, you know the diet also plays a big role. 75% of all chronic diseases are preventable. Okay, so you got to look at what you're eating. So, with Neolife as a company, They look at everything. It's not just about supplementation, okay? Weight management, physical activity, and diet. You got to look at these three areas to see what needs to be improved. And the Canadian Food Guide did an amazing change back in 2019, where, you know, they realized that we should be eating more of those dark colored fruits and vegetables, a little bit of protein, right? Some whole grains, and your water should be your drink of choice. So we're going to talk about some of these key nutrients. And again, water is critical. You should be drinking a lot of water throughout the day. And this plays a really big role as well as just carrying oxygen and getting rid of toxins, okay? But what I want to share with you is a study that was recently published. And this study was done in over 190 countries. And they made a powerful find that it's what we aren't eating that's actually killing us, okay? And what they found was we're not eating enough those whole grains, low fruit, nuts and seeds, low omega-3, and low vegetables, okay? So these are the things that we're just not eating enough of. And this was a study that was done in 2010 that women who ate diets high in fruits and vegetables, fish, whole grains were less likely to suffer from depression. Okay, there's so much research on the key nutrients that play a role in brain function, but unfortunately our grains today are no longer whole. This is what drew me to Neolife, because I thought, no, I'm eating healthy, I can get everything from my food, not understanding that the grain is not the same that it was 70 years ago, right? Years ago, they'd grow the wheat, grind the wheat, make the flour, make the bread, and the grains were whole. The essential lipids that we're going to be talking about were in the grain. But, you know, they started milling this oil out for longer shelf life. We call it the great grain robbery. You know, the fibers removed, all those precious germs, those oils, 22 important nutrients. And what's left? Starch, white flour, protein, gluten. And this is why so many people have sensitivities and have trouble digesting these essential grains, okay, because they're no longer the same. And now they're genetically modified, as Mary Ellen talked about earlier. So supplementation is something that I took more seriously, you know, in my 20s. My mom was in her 40s. But the problem was I was watching my mom take supplements for years with no results. I'd never taken supplements before, so I didn't know, you know, the difference, but I saw the difference in my mom. So Mary Ellen, if you could maybe just share with us, you know, some of the challenges and just maybe a little bit more about the Neolife difference.
Yeah, that's so true, Nada, because I thought because the supplement was in a store that it was safe, you know, and I was taking supplements and they weren't working, they weren't helping my son, but I was really shocked when I saw this study that were from 2007 to 2016. They actually tested 776 products and they found hidden active ingredients that were unsafe or unstudied. And even when I took my holistic nutrition course, there was so many products out there. So how do you know what to look for in a supplement? So we kind of put together a criteria. And I know when I looked at Neolife, I realized it was definitely a name I could trust. Besides the fact that we got fantastic results with the products, but the fact that it's based in nature. So they don't just use isolates, they use all the nutrients that are in food, because food is our medicine, right? And it's backed by good evidence-based science. And it's been around since 1958, never had a dietary recall in over 50 countries around the world. And they meet or exceed all the health standards of all of these countries. So I was really impressed when I looked at that. But then when people ask me, well, what do I look for in a supplement? I say, well, the first thing you want to do is find out what it's made from. Because just because it's natural, it can be anything from the ground, petroleum, pine bark. You know, a lot of those shiny vitamins that you see actually have a coal tar on the outside of them. Where Neolife goes a step above. They actually use the whole grains, the fruits and vegetables, the wild salmon, because that was what was in the study that Nada talked about that we're lacking, not the other things. And as I mentioned, every ingredient's GMO free. And the reason they have this high quality control is because the Scientific Advisory Board, which is founded by Dr. Arthur First, one of the top toxicologists in the world, and he actually was a co-founder of oral chemotherapy. And when he was doing his research in food, he found nutrients in food that prevent disease, all sorts of diseases. So that's why in the 1970s, he joined up with Neolife and set up our Scientific Advisory Board of prestigious scientists and researchers. And they actually involved in the research and development of the product. So they're not just a good looking doctor who endorses the product. So you can be 100% sure what's on that label is in the bottle and nothing else. but they go one step further to make sure what's in the bottle gets into the body. So the products are independently tested and published in peer-reviewed journals like the American College of Nutrition, New England Journal of Medicine. So really good evidence-based research. So Nada, would you like to share how you can help get the foundation for hormones by filling those gaps?
Yeah, the key, this is going to be the key, the foundation. And, you know, these are the nutrients that I started 30 years ago. They weren't in these convenient packs though. So I'm so grateful that the company put them in this convenient form. But these are the ingredients that I'm going to be focusing on. And then we're going to go and dive into a little deeper, especially if people are really struggling with adrenal issues. But this is a great place to start. I always say, see what it does, and then you can always add things along the way. So the 4 products are the grain oils, the carotenoids, salmon oil, and a multivitamin. So TRE-EN-EN is that first product, that green pill, those lipids and sterols, less gluten than a bowl of gluten-free cereal, developed for a hospital research study, and it helps with cellular energy and efficiency. It reduces menopausal symptoms. You know, I was talking to my mom earlier today. She goes, yeah, I asked her, because I forgot, it's been 40 years or 30 years I've been taking the products. And I said, Mom, do you remember like going through menopause? She goes, I think the odd time I might have got a little sweaty in the back of my neck, and that was it. Okay. So I was like, yeah, I said, I don't remember you ever complaining. So this is something that has been taken for 30 years along with me, and it's really made an impact. And how TRE-EN-EN works is cell function. Every cell in your body is surrounded by that lipid layer to allow nutrients in and waste out. Or if you don't have these granules in your diet, your cells look like the cell on the left. Nutrients can't get in and waste cannot get out. So your cells are compromised. Texas A&M University, they did a study and they proved that your cells will absorb 50% more of the nutrients from your diet by supplementing with Neolife's TRE-EN-EN grain concentrate. Again, a third-party study. The other nutrient that's important are your fruits and veggies. Remember that study they're saying we're not eating enough of? We should be eating up to 13 servings of dark colored fruits and vegetables every single day. It's a challenge. I find especially with our teenagers today. With this product, carotenoids, that's in this pack, you're getting 1 in this packet. It was proven to boost your immune system 37% in 20 days. Published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition and presented at the New York Academy of Sciences. After taking 1 a day in this pack, it's equivalent to consuming 80 pounds of raw fruits and vegetables in every box. So absolutely powerful for the immune system, immune function. This has really helped me with my allergies. I was using antihistamines year round, and this played a really big role in supporting my immune system. And I no longer have any environmental allergies. I couldn't walk into a house with cats. Now I can sleep over at my sister's and she's got a cat. So it's been amazing. So yeah, definitely has keep to get my allergies under control. The other nutrient that also is in this pack, and it does play a role with inflammation, is the omega-3s. So there's so many benefits of omega-3, but reducing inflammation is the key. Okay, it helps with brain function. Mary Ellen, I know this is one product that really helped you with your migraines.
Yeah, it made a huge difference from reducing inflammation. Also balances hormones, because a lot of migraines are hormone related as well.
Yes, so hormonal balance. So that's why it's a great start, because you're getting 1 in this pack. It has all 8 omega-3, tested for 200 contaminants with an allowance of 0. Okay, proven in clinical trials to reduce inflammation 68% in just 8 weeks. And this is why with migraines, it helped me with my joint pain, helped my mom with her fibromyalgia. We have so many testimonials on this amazing product, but it's safe for mom, safe for baby. It was, we were featured by the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. They deemed our omega-3 safe for mom and baby, which is so important because so many fish oils out there will say right on the label, don't take it if you're pregnant. And this plays a really big role in hormones and also for the growth and development of the baby, okay? So the last capsule is our multivitamin. So again, you're getting all your vitamins and minerals. So we call this like the Cadillac of multis, and it just kind of completes that pack. 12 pounds of whole grains in every box, 80 pounds of raw fruits and vegetables, and 10 servings of omega-3 fish in every box. So as you can see, it does so much in the body, but again, strengthening your hormones, giving your body what it needs to like what I like to say is age gracefully. But when you add protein, Mary Ellen, why does this play such a big role with our hormones? Because I know this is something that I have not stopped taking for 30 years every single day, and it's made a huge role with my hormones as well.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize the role that protein plays, because the amino acids hook up with those grain oils that you talked about, those essential lipids, to make our hormones. So it's so important. And it also helps balance blood sugar. But the problem is most of the products out there aren't biologically complete. And protein is not just for building and repair of muscles, it's also for enzymes, antibodies. But as I mentioned, you can't build those hormones. So important. And also helps to control blood sugar, because that knocks our hormones off as well. And what's inside, of course, everything all natural, right? And it has a high protein quality score, 18 grams of protein, 5 grams of fiber, and controlled glycemic response, antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals. So it's packed with nutrition. And what's not inside is nothing artificial. I know my granddaughter's been drinking that shake since they could drink out of a sippy cup. And there's Nora on her way to daycare in the morning, drinking her shake with her breakfast, and it kept her super healthy as well. And we have the new vegan protein, which is amazing because it has no soy or no dairy for people with intolerances. And it's plant-based, and it has everything the Neolife Shake has, only it has no dairy or soy.
Thank you. And I'm going to have my dear friend Shelly come and introduce Cheyenne. She has a powerful story. She's a hairdresser. She's working long hours. She's working tonight. She sent me a quick text and said, yes, share my story. And I'm going to have Shelly come on and share before we actually play this recording.
Yeah, thanks, Nada. Yes, I met Cheyenne because she was my hairdresser, and she started sharing a bit about, that she was learning a bit about nutrition, that she wanted to feed her body with more nutrients, and she had some low energy, and she was just trying to figure it all out. And so we chatted a bit more, and I asked her some more questions. And after a while, I said, you know what, if I had something that I feel, would give you those nutrients that you're looking for and help you with that energy, would you be open to maybe looking at the information or trying something? And she said, sure. So after a little while, she decided to try that, the Pro Vitality and shakes. And I gave her a call a few days later to see what she was noticing. And she started telling me even more than what she had shared when she was my hairdresser, because there's so much more to her story and how it has impacted her. So I'll let her do the talking, but it was just incredible how quickly she felt so good and really appreciated me telling her about it.
Shelly, thank you so much for introducing Cheyenne to Neolife. And some of you might know, but Cheyenne is our hairdresser. And she's on her feet hours and hours a day, loves her job. And I know she shares with me that if it wasn't for the good nutrition, that she wouldn't be able to be doing what she's doing, her passion, and creating amazing hair. So anyways, I'm going to have her share her story, and it's quite powerful. This was only after 2 weeks of her using Neolife.
My name is Cheyenne. I've been using Neolife just for 2 weeks now, which doesn't seem like a long time, but you'd be surprised. I have 3 different autoimmune disorders. I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, positive rheumatoid arthritis factors in my joints, and I have PCOS. I am 25, and just being on Neolife for 2 weeks, I have coffee out of my diet. Like, I have so much energy. I used to be sore all the time, which I'm already noticing that's going away. My energy levels, like I said, with my PCOS and my Hashimoto's. So I have a lot more life in me, and yeah. Oh, I'm on Pro Vitality Pack, so the breakfast pack. So I take the grain oils, the carotenoids, the salmon, and the multivitamin, and the shakes every day, and I love it.
Oops. Shelly, thank you so much she's on her feet hours and hours. There we go. I got to change this slide. It's a little tricky sometimes. It glitches. Come on. on. There we go. There we go. Awesome. Well, there's just one story. We have many, many stories. And Shelley, I know, I think I saw her 2 weeks ago, and yeah, she says she's so grateful. She just loves those shakes. And I also make those protein balls every time we go, and she snacks on those and when we're sitting in the chair. So, but anyways, one thing that protein shake does, Mary Ellen, I know we talked about this earlier about the glycemic control response and that technology on getting the blood sugar regulated and getting your blood sugar in that glycemic control zone for weight loss and weight management and for diabetes, and again, preventing the fat storage and promoting fat burning. And so, but also when I find that when we get that premenopause or going into menopause, women tend to get a little bit of that kind of belly stuff hanging around. And I'd love to have Sarina share her story, because this is something she noticed shortly after being on the Neolife Shake. Can you share?
Yeah, for sure. That belly roll was coming along. I didn't like it very much. So my story started back about 2 or 3 years ago. I was just really not feeling well. I had extremely low energy all the time, just feeling so tired. And I had brain fog, and as well as this bit of weight gain. And I was concerned because I had been diagnosed pre-diabetic about 7 or 8 years ago. So I thought, oh geez, I hope this is not what's coming. And, you know, signs or symptoms of being so tired all the time. And my mom had been diagnosed with hypothyroidism. So I was concerned maybe I was going down that avenue as well. So I did go to the doctor, and I had all the blood work done, and everything came back fine, which I was so thankful for. But I didn't feel fine. And my days just, I thought, I don't want to keep feeling like this every day. So I decided I would reach out to Nada. I had met her a few years prior. My son and I had taken some of the products, and then we got away from it for a little bit. But I knew there was definitely some goodness there. So I reached back out to Nada, and I started on the breakfast pack. So the protein and the grain oils, along with the other vitamins in the pack, and the Super Beet. And within about 2 weeks, I started noticing I was thinking clear. That was the first thing that I noticed. I just was having less brain fog. And within the next couple of weeks, I started to notice I wasn't feeling as tired, and my energy was coming back. And I was starting to shrink a little bit around the waist too, which was great. And all of that, even that gave me more energy as well. So I'm a year now on the products, and I feel great. I feel like my old self again. I feel better in my early 50s than I did in my later 40s. And I'm just so thankful I don't have to feel like that every day. So that's good.
Thank you so much, Sarina. Thank you for sharing. And Mary Ellen, when we're talking about the shrinking and the belly fat, I think the Neolife Shake can do a little bit more for us, because Sarina didn't have a lot of weight to lose, but I know you've got an amazing story here from Gabby.
Gabby was a sister of one of my customers, and she was only 30 years old when her husband passed away. He was only 40. And she knew she had to get her life back on track because she had 3 small children. The youngest was 4 months. And so she got on the weight loss program. She lost 34 pounds from August 2016 to November. And she actually ended up winning the year challenge with the Neolife. And as you can see, the nice thing is in 2021, look at her now. It's a lifestyle change, and she's a great role model for her kids, and she's kept it off. And she looks great.
Sorry. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. And so now we're going to kind of dive into some of the different issues that you get with when your hormones are out of balance. We did talk a lot about anemia, which is the loss of iron, loss of blood. Things that help with that are the All-C. Vitamin C is important for iron absorption, B, E, and sometimes you need to add some zinc and endurance. And this is on top of the breakfast pack, right? Because or the formula for it. So endurance is desiccated beef liver, which It's absorbed. And I know I had a client who was so anemic after the birth of her baby. And with the endurance and the Formula 4, within like 6 weeks, her blood bounced right out. It was incredible. Then you get when you're not menstruating at all, amenorrhea. And again, what helps with that is increasing the Formula 4. And then dysmenorrhea, that's what you had, Nada, right? Painful menstruating, and the B and the E played a role with that. And I know you're going to share yours, share Diane's.
Yeah, it played a really big role, especially when I added that that Super B. I really, really struggled with my menstrual cycle. But now I'm so excited that my sister is joining us tonight. It's funny, we spent I guess Super Bowl weekend together, and we talked about, you know, sometimes you forget, right? It's been 30 years that we've been on the products, and we just started talking about the impact the products have made in her life. And I'd love for her to share her journey, because it was a journey as a young woman, and who really struggled. So Diana, can you share a little bit about the challenges you had, and how Neolife has changed your life? You can unmute yourself.
Hi. Yeah, so I don't have to read, this is my whole my story up here, right, Nat? But I'm not going to read the whole story. I'm going to talk about what I've been through. So I did, when I was younger, I was a massive, like I was into dieting and exercise, and I did a lot of too much dieting and exercising, where it really affected my health. I would lose like too much weight, and then I'd exercise too much, and it got to the point where when I hit probably in my 30s, my periods just stopped. And it was really concerning, because I knew it wasn't normal and I didn't know what to do. So I had gone to, like, I waited, and then I was hoping it would just come back, but then it didn't. And I went to a doctor, and they just put me on like estrogen pills. So I was on estrogen for probably, I would say almost a year, and I still did not get my period. And I knew I heard bad things about taking estrogen, and it wasn't like healthy and everything. So I was kind of scared while I was taking it, but I just didn't. I thought, well, the doctor said I should take it, so maybe it will help me. Didn't get my period. And then I had talked to my sister, and I said, you know, like, I'm concerned, and like, what should I do? And then she didn't realize that I hadn't had my period for that long either. So she's like, we sat down, and we kind of went through a plan of what I needed. And I was taking the vitamins, but I wasn't consistent. I was taking like here and there, a little bit of vitamin C, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like, I wasn't consistently taking the vitamins. So Nada and I had talked, and as soon as I started on a program of the Formula 4, which had the grain concentrates and other things like the salmon oil with the grain, with the essential fatty acids, and B vitamins and protein. And I really, really like stuck to this program of taking it consistently. And there was like, you know, like 6 or 7 Formula 4 a day, and like 5 or 6 salmon oil a day. Like, I just was really, I didn't want to be on the hormone therapy anymore. So it took about, I would say, 6 months. And then I started to get my period normally. And it was like, it came back, and I was so excited. I called Nat. I was like over the moon excited. And then ever since then, like, my period was on the mark, like every 26 days, it was like completely normal. And then I just never looked back. Like, I was so excited to have it back. And then I was worried too, like, going into my late 30s, because that's when I had children. I was actually 40 when I had my first child. And I didn't think, I was like, will I be able to have children? Like, I was a little bit worried, like, because my periods were so crazy, and I didn't have them for a while. And I thought, but no problems. Like, I had I got pregnant right away. I had 2 healthy pregnancies. So that was really such a like a great thing for me to have that in my life. And then another thing I wanted to mention too was I also had suffered from cystic acne when I was like in my late 20s and in my 30s, and it was really bothersome as well. So that went away, and I know that the grain oils help with that, because even when like I would kind of sway away from like taking the grain oils or like being consistent later on in life, every time I would notice that I would get like the acne and stuff could come back. And so I would never, ever, like, that's something that I can't consistently take is the grain oils, because it's helped me with my hormones and with the cystic acne and my period. So So that was something that really, really helped me. So I'm very grateful.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Diana. It's been a while since I've heard all those details. My gosh, but it's great. It's I know it's made a huge impact, and now your kids are on the products, and they're noticing a huge difference in how they're keeping a strong immune system, right? Which is so important. So important for their hormones. That's when they start to really notice the difference, right? When they're growing and developing into their teens. So thank you so much for sharing. Really appreciate it.
And so some of the other issues, as you can heard from Diana, when the body doesn't have the right nutrients, it does crazy things, right? Well, some people get menorrhagia, which is excessive bleeding. And vitamin E plays a big role when you add extra of that, because vitamin E does play a role in the hormones as well. And then there's the PCOS. That's what we've heard mentioned previously, that polycystic ovarian syndrome. And people get a lot of, they get blood sugar issues, some will grow facial hair, some are put on diabetic medication for it. So if it's really severe, more of the basic recipe. And as you heard earlier, we have some really good testimonials. Infertility, extra formula 4 is good for that, because again, the TRE-EN-EN grain concentrates to balance those hormones. And also a candida cleanse often is helpful for that as well, because if there's candida in the body, it inhibits the body to be able to get pregnant. PMS, that's a big problem. The B vitamins are the happy vitamins, so that helps a lot, along with the breakfast pack. For the acne, you heard Diana say the granules play a role balancing the hormones, also vitamin A and acidophilus. I do have a lot of people with very severe candida will have chronic acne. And I also have a girl who gets great results with her aloe vera juice. Amazing. She used to get injections in her face with cortisone once or twice a week. And since she started drinking the aloe, she hasn't had an issue, hasn't gone for a cortisone injection, I think, in about 5 years now. And bowel irregularity, that can happen a lot too, especially especially if you've got endometriosis and things like that. So the acidophilus, the aloe, and the fiber are very helpful to get that, because you got to get rid of those toxins out of the body. Sinus problems, that was me. I had sinus headaches all the time. Vitamin A and C and a yeast cleanse are very helpful for that. Heart palpitations, CalMag and B vitamins help. A lot of women going through menopause. I know I've had a lot of clients say, their heart's racing, they think they're having a heart attack. And again, they need extra support with the CalMag and B. Headaches, that's the Saminol was the key with me, as far as, getting rid of the inflammation. So again, I didn't cure my migraines, but I stopped the trigger of the inflammation for the migraines. Forgetfulness, that brain fog. I hear a lot of women do that. So that's a big issue as well. And that's the basic hormone recipe. So low libido, you have no sex drive at all. Vitamin E and B vitamins help. Often if you're tired too, so even the breakfast pack, giving your energy back. The endometriosis, I know when I took my holistic nutrition course, they said that's severe candida. So vitamin E does help, and consider the yeast cleanse and some carotenoids, because the carotenoids help boost the immunity. Okay, so to get things thing. Fibroid tumors, I've had lots of clients with those, the vitamin E, the carotenoids, the TRE. Sometimes the cruciferous plays a big role in that too, for the hormone, because it's hormonally mediated. Ovarian cysts, I had one girl who actually had a couple of them that had popped. And when she got on the basic program, the shake was amazing for her. That made the difference. She was supposed to have a hysterectomy, and they ended up not doing it. And extra carotenoids and TRE, of course, play a role there as well. Menopause. A lot of people think, I know Don Lawson used to say, you have a choice. You can sail through menopause, and feel great, or you just fall apart to pieces. And a lot of women, because as we talked about, those adrenals are so exhausted, their adrenals can't function. They get the hot flashes, the heart palpitations. And I know myself, my mom had a lot of issues, and I started the same time as her, and I sailed through menopause. I don't even think I had one hot flash. And people go, oh, you're so lucky. And I'm like, no, I think it's because of what I supported my body with. So things that help are the E, the B, the CalMag. The feminine herbal complex is a herbal thing that keys in for women. That can help if you're getting really bad hot flashes, and improve your digestion, because of course that plays a role. And osteoporosis, the CalMag is very important for that. Breast cancer, of course, cruciferous, B vitamins, detoxify the liver. That's with the Beta-Guard or our 3-day detox. Carotenoids and TRE all play a role, again, supporting the body. So we talked about a lot of products there that you can see here, Nada, but do you want to just summarize and kind of simplify it for everyone?
Yeah, I will. And actually, Diana just sent me a text. I guess she was so excited to share her story, because I was kind of surprised when she said 6 months. She actually got her period just after a month. It was just a month and a half. And when she got her cycle, it wasn't 6 months. So it happened a lot sooner. But as the months went on, she definitely started to feel better. So that's just wanted to clarify that, because I know in her written testimonial, because we do send that out. So just to clarify, she wanted to make sure it happened a lot sooner than 6 months. So she was really excited to share that with you guys. So we did talk about the hormone recipe. We talked about the breakfast pack. We talked about the vitality pack. And, you know, I mean, Diana was an extreme case. So yes, you know, I had talked to a nurse that had been with Neolife for over 20 years at that time. And she said to me, Diana needs to take at least 6 to 9 Formula 4 a day. So that's why we did the 6 Formula 4 and the extra TRE-EN-EN, because her cycles were really, really messed up. I gave her the history. But most people are okay with just a foundation. Starting with like the breakfast pack is a great place to start. And I always say, especially if there is a bit of PMS and moodiness, add a bottle of Super B. Like that would be a really good place to start with menopause or PMS symptoms. So as you can see, we do have other products. We have products for digestion. We have products if you have joint pain, you can add a glucosamine. That's one of my favorites because it helps me exercise and work out, because that's something that I really need. But again, starting with the foundation, that core nutrition, is great. And then there's that hormone recipe if you're really wanting to support the hormones. So some of you are wondering, well, how do I get a hold of these amazing products? Well, Neolife has a wellness club, and it's free to join. As soon as you become a member, you automatically get a 15% discount. And if you go on auto ship, for example, that breakfast pack or that vitality pack is a month's supply. So when you set that up on auto ship, you get wholesale price, which is 25% off, and you get all your shipping back in 6 months. So it's a loyalty program the company has. They give you your shipping back being a loyal customer. There's also a referral program. Many of our customers are getting their health packs free just by referring 3 people. So again, that's something that, you know, once you start to feel good, notice the difference, share it with some family and your friends, you can actually get your products free every single month. There's fitness challenges and weight loss challenges that you can enter, like Gabby won that year-long challenge with her weight loss journey. Shelly, you won the 90-day challenge with your fitness journey. We have many winners that are on tonight. I'm not going to remember all of you, but I just wanted to share that with you. It just helps to keep you accountable and to stay on track. So if you want to be a part of that, that's great. And these are the health packs. So when you're looking at the vitality pack or the breakfast pack or the weight loss pack, which is our shape up pack, these are what the packs look like. But the best seller is definitely that breakfast pack. And that's what Cheyenne started on, was just the breakfast pack. We also have a group on Facebook. It's called Neolife Healthy Living Community. And this is where people share their stories, all product stories, testimonials. You hear from some of our scientists. It's all on product and science. So this is where you can really learn more about other challenges, I would say health transformations that people have had by supporting their good nutrition. And there's one more option. So for some of you that are wondering, well, you know, I want to get involved with something where I can have an impact in people's lives. And I have to say that after being you know, on the police force for a few years and then starting to build my Neolife business part-time, I knew this is what I wanted to do. I didn't want to work the long hours and work shift work. And I was so grateful that I was able to leave my career and do this, what I love to do every single day. So if you or someone you know is looking for an opportunity where they can build a business part-time that doesn't interfere with what they're presently doing, ask the person invited you, and we can share with you a little further in that department. But for those of you that have just joined us tonight that about the products and to feel better, to help to support your hormones. You can become a member for free. And we're always here to answer any questions that you may have. We are going to open up to questions as soon as I pause or stop the recording, because I know most of you are probably wanting to have a little conversation now. So I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. I want to thank all the testimonials. I want to thank Mary Ellen with her amazing background with being a nutritionist. We so appreciate the knowledge that she has. And I want to thank Sarina and Diana and Cheyenne and Shelley for just sharing and talking from the heart. I really appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to you soon. And I will pause now.